So thanks for being here all. It's great. It's been a long time that I was talking about Terraform and Qovery AWS, all those things that you can use and combine all together. I wanted to make a session for just jumping into a demo very fastly, just getting into our N30 to see how all those things work together. But just before we get started, I just want to present myself. I'm Romaric, CEO and co-founder of Qovery. I'm an engineer myself. I'm the CEO of Qovery, so I have to run the company. I'm no longer involved into the product development. Of course, no, not the code, but at least the product, yes. And yeah, I have a background in engineering, so yeah, I'm quite good at doing that. So the agenda of the day, what we are going to cover during this session. So we have a 30 to maybe 45 minutes that we can use. The idea is that it's an interactive session. I just don't want like to get in all the details, but if you have like any question, just feel free to ask. Happy to respond right away. I need to mention that we have some delays between. So I'm using a platform that is streaming directly through LinkedIn, and I am probably like 30 seconds delay. So yes, if I take some time to respond to your question, then it's just normal. Okay. So during this session, I will just cover right away Qovery, even if you know about the platform, but just very quickly in 1 or 2 minutes, that's it. Then we'll discuss about Terraform, just giving the full context and the full picture to people that I know that I have some customers that will look at the video or are maybe involved into the live session. So I just want to get the basics of Terraform. Or you can even ask to Anton that is looking at the stream. He's like the professional one about Terraform. We are using some of your providers, Anton, you already know that. And just showing you how Terraform, AWS, Qovery interacts all together because we are not here to replace Terraform, but Qovery extends really the power of this tool and makes a higher level of abstractions that makes things very easy to do and manage. Hey, René. Hey, Suravir. Nice. It's good to see you guys. And then jumping right away into the live demo, it's the goal of the session. Okay, that's right. Let's go. So first, what is Qovery? So Qovery, as you probably know, it's a platform that you install on your cloud account, on your AWS account, that makes your life just easier. So you can right away start deploying your application on AWS. I like to say that it's the missing product of AWS, just getting the developer experience that any developer needs at some point, focusing on their code. So basically you can connect your Git repository, GitLab, Bitbucket, select the services that you want to deploy on AWS, and then right away you can just deploy all your application. And obviously you can connect your cloud account, then under the hood, Qovery will provision all the infrastructure that you need. So Kubernetes, for instance, for the compute part, and that's something that we are going to do just afterwards with Terraform. And then from that, you're ready to go. Okay. So it's kind of Heroku-like experience on top of your cloud accounts if you want to see that. And most of the part of our product is completely open source, so you can just jump right away into it and see how the things work if you want to. Okay. We have users everywhere in the world. We have more than 20,000 developers using the platform from more than 100 countries. You know all of that. It's a very common problem that we address, and people really like to just trying to solve those complex problems with a simple solution. So just to give you the complete scope of Qovery, basically Qovery can cover from the build to the scale. So going through the deployment, the run of your application, all of that running on your AWS account. But obviously we are working with growing companies and big companies that are using our platform just for the deployment part. So they can just get rid of the build part and just plug Qovery to their CI system. So GitHub Actions, GitLab, for instance, and then manage the deployment with Qovery. Okay. All right. So this is the good part of all of that. So what is Terraform? Not Qovery, but what is Terraform? Very, very important question, to be honest. Because I've seen, so with all the discussion that I had with my customers and users, that some of them are like very confident and they know already what is Terraform and they're using it every single day. And that was one of the things that they were looking for when using Qovery, to be honest, and that we didn't have at the time. And we have some of them that are not really aware. So the idea is just to explain what is Terraform for everyone. But my definition of Terraform is that it's a tool, it's a declarative tool. So it's basically a tool where you will describe everything that you want from your infrastructure. So you just describe all the infrastructure that you want into a file. So it can be a single file or multiple files. And I'm going to show you that. And then you focus on the what you want, and not the details. Okay, it's not how you make it working, how you make it all those things, but what you really want. And then from that, you are using some modules that we call providers that take care of doing all the how, all the things, all the single details from that. So for instance, as a user with Terraform, you can just say, hey, listen, I want to, for instance, I give you an example. I want to deploy my application. I have an application and I give you the input, the parameters from that application. I want you deploying that application. And you don't care about how the things are done. You just want to get the final state and being into that. And it's Terraform that has to figure out how the things work behind. That's a new concept that was bring by HashiCorp for a long time now. And it's very powerful because as a user, you don't really want to get into all the single details that you have when you do something. You just want to get the final result. Okay. So it's an open source tool. It's declarative. You have to learn a language that is called HCL. So it's a DSL provided by HashiCorp. It's not very complex, to be honest. And then you can just right away write what you want and run it. Okay. So that's exactly what you see from the schema that is coming from HashiCorp website. So basically you declare as a user, you will use Terraform. You will declare the file and the configuration. So the state that you want, the final state that you want. And then from that, you do a command, you run a command that is named plan, Terraform plan, just to scan and see what are all the things that you need to be done. And then you apply those changes, and then Terraform will just figure it out and work and do what he has to do. And then at the end, you have everything that you want. Okay. Any question from that, just feel free to ask. I try to be quite explicit on that. All right. So why Terraform, Qovery, AWS, all those things make sense because if you look at Terraform, I told you that you can declare what you want and then you get what you get. But actually, it's not really the case. It's not really the case. You have to still, if you want to deploy, for instance, your application on AWS, you have to learn about AWS, how the things work behind. Okay, you can't just like say, hey, I want to have that, and then you get that. Obviously, AWS do all the plumbing stuff for you. They provide you the API, the console, and then you can manage whatever you want from their interfaces. But you have to learn the concept. You have to understand what is a network, what is a VPC, what is a security group, what is a load balancer, what is a VM, a container, what are different options that you can set for your Kubernetes cluster, and so on and so forth. So the idea of Qovery here is just to abstract that level. It's to give to anyone the ability to just take advantage of the power of Terraform to declare what you really want, what you do want, but you don't focus on the details. Like if you want to deploy an application, just an application on your AWS account, then you can declare what you want from your Terraform file, your manifest file. And then you will get that. And you don't need to bother about, hey, I need to provide a load balancer, or I need to configure the VPC, the network, the security. You want to have something that is secure, obviously, and scale. But here with the Terraform, the Qovery Terraform provider that we provide for Terraform, that you can use right away from Terraform, then you just declare the infrastructure, the application, and yeah, you want to expose that application, then you declare that this application. You want to build and deploy this application from Git, then you specify Git, the Git URL. It can be also a private URL, and then from that you deploy it. You want to have a Kubernetes cluster with a certain amount of CPU, RAM, all those things, then you can just declare that and you get it. You don't focus on the details. But obviously, we don't want to limit our customers and users, so they have the ability to go beyond what we do provide, okay? So here, it's an example of what you can do. So you have a schema, for instance. So if you look, you have the Terraform, you have a Git where you can put your manifest and declare your manifest, because also using Terraform is a great concept in terms of traceability. So keeping track of all the things that has been done on the infrastructure. So you can push your changes, your file, and keep it into Git. And then from that, when you plan and you apply your changes, then with the Qovery Terraform provider, Qovery takes care of providing and doing everything that you need. So if you want to deploy your application on AWS, then Qovery will provide a Kubernetes cluster behind the scene that will be configured the right way for production workload, and then spin up the containers, configuring the VPC load balancers, control different controllers, even associated your domain. If you want to have a domain, then you will attach the domain, provide the TLS, and all those things, okay? All those things for you. Very important. All right, so let's jump into the demo. I think the most important part. Okay, let me just share the screen the right way. All right, so I'm using my terminal and I'm going to use Vim. I have already prepared, so I'm in a folder. I've already installed Terraform. Okay, so my Terraform version is already installed. And what I did is that I've just declared by convention a file that is named main.tf. Okay, so this main file, basically, if you look at this main file, is getting, so this main file get an information. So you have an object that is declared with some parameters that is using the Qovery Terraform provider. Okay, I have the version that is specified. So what does that mean? It means that you get access to that Terraform provider right from the registry, the Terraform registry. So the Terraform registry is basically a place where you can find all the providers. Okay, so you can use all the providers that you want that are already stored into that registry. And here I'm just using it. And to use that Terraform provider, so if you look at the documentation told you that you have to declare, obviously, the token. So you have to generate a token, a valid token for your organization. You have to declare also so your credential, your AWS credential. So the idea here is to deploy my application on AWS. So I have to use the different resources that makes me able to deploy on my AWS account. And let's say with the Terraform, the Qovery Terraform provider, you don't need to have anything on AWS. Here, my AWS account is completely empty. It's completely empty. There is nothing, okay? And I can just right away from that file, if you look at the file, here we have 100. So we have 111 lines of code that will just deploy a complete infrastructure. So Kubernetes cluster, prepare the project, the environment, different application. I have one application here, and I have a database here, and all of that. And at the end of the day, so in just a few minutes, I will get everything that is ready on my cloud account. So yes, the idea is to show you that. Okay, so let me jump just on. So here, if you do a Qovery, so it's not Qovery, sorry. But if you run Terraform plan from that file, so the plan is that there is nothing that has changed. So if you're like back to that, I've already configured a cluster just before because I didn't want it to waste too much time, just to show you that, because the time that you provision a cluster, the VPC can take a few minutes, like 15 minutes on AWS. And here, what I'm going to do is that I've stopped, if you look at the state here, I've stopped my cluster. So it's no longer running. So let me just share maybe, can I share my screen again? Yes. Wait. Yeah, I wanted to show you that my cluster. So let me share again, stop screen. Yes. So if I show you guys what I have here, so my cluster, so I'm on the Qovery web interface, okay? And my cluster here is stopped. So before the talk, I just like prepare everything. I run it once, and then the configuration has been done. And then from that, I've just stopped and set the state of my cluster to stop. Then it's no longer running. And what I'm gonna do now, so I share again my screen. Share. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is just changing that for, obviously, it's no longer running. It's no longer stopped, but running. Okay. So here I've changed the parameter to the right state. And what I can do is a Terraform, obviously, plan. And from that, I have the diff from the changes. And this is very, very, very important. That's the huge value of using Terraform over anything else. Okay, over the web interface, for instance, or the CLI. It's basically, Terraform is a state machine management system. So it calls your API. So in our case, the Terraform provider is calling our API is getting the status of our API. So it has the current state and compare it to the final state, the state that we want. And here, what it says is that, oh, you have a few resources that are going to be removed. So it's all the resources that you see with the minus, the red minus, and different resources that are going to be created from the environment variables that has changed to the state that I change everywhere from the application and the cluster. So here, what I'm going to do now is Terraform apply. That's it. Yes, I've added the changes and I want to get into that final state. And here, what happens is that by running that, I'm just like starting everything. So all the resources that I've declared into my file. So from the cluster, project, environment, applications, it's a Django application and a database itself. Okay. So if I go back to the web interface, you will see so it's running right away. So let me share now again the web interface, then you will see that something is happening. Yes. So you see, and I didn't cheat. Something that I want to just say. It's that everything happened from Terraform and is running right now. And the cluster is in an updating state, you see? So everything is going to be like deployed in a few seconds, a few minutes. And it's very, very powerful. One other aspect that I want to show you is that, so waiting for the time that it's done, is from the Terraform Qovery is not only providing and provisioning Kubernetes resources. Obviously, we are running in the cloud, AWS, and maybe you even want to use like different services that are providing from AWS. So what you can do with Qovery and with the Terraform provider is what we call VPC peering. So VPC peering Qovery, if you look at the documentation, then you can just set up and get access from your infrastructure to other components from AWS itself. So you can take advantage of AWS at any time, okay? One other aspect is that we are providing also the support of different databases, okay? So you have two different modes for the databases that you want to deploy. Okay, you have the container mode and the manage mode. And from one single interface, you see, by changing one single parameter, you can change the mode of your database. A container is basically a container. So if you say that you want a PostgreSQL running on your environment and you say the container mode, then it will spin up a container attached to your Kubernetes cluster. And then you will have also a block storage that is attached, provided by AWS. and then accessible from the application of that environment. If you spin up a managed database, it will be exactly similar for the application. So there is no difference, okay? But the major difference is that it's a RDS instance provided by AWS, and you get access to it because the network also is configured the right way. You get the backup, point in time recovery, all those things. You see? So that's the value of the Qovery Terraform provider, is that you have the advantage, you have the power of Terraform. So you can just programmatically configure everything that you need, but you have the power and the high flexibility also of Qovery and the ability of getting into all those things and focusing on what you get and not the details. Okay. All right. Let's see where we are from that. So if we go back, Terraform, let's jump into share again. Oof. All right. So yeah, let's wait a few seconds more. I think we are almost good. So you see everything behind the scene is running. So we have here, if you look, we have the cluster that has been created. We have the application also that are deployed in parallel. We have the cluster still in deployment. So yeah, probably making some updates as well. So let's wait. Question? I just want to wait a few seconds because I want to show you something that is very, very powerful, because that's the beginning. You know, you start configuring so your application, your cluster. But if you start and you do want to duplicate, let's say that you want to duplicate, I don't know, resources. You want to duplicate and create a new environment. And I'm going to show you by just cloning, so copying and pasting the same configuration, then we can duplicate the environment. And this is where it starts to be very, very powerful, very powerful. So yeah, completed, great. So yeah, it's finished, it's over. So let's jump into my browser now and see that it's, yes, running for real and it's not a fake one. All right, my cluster is running. I can get access to my environment. Oh, that's great. That's super cool. That's super powerful. I like it. Yes. Hello, Daniel. No, it's not you. Yes, it's a customer. It's a prospect that I hired and make a demo. But yes, my application is running. You see, you have the status, the logs, and everything from my infrastructure running on my AWS account. But that's beautiful. It's perfect. I love that. It's working right away. It's perfect. So one thing that you want, so let's say that you have this environment. This environment, I want to make a clone of that environment. I want to create a new environment, but declare it into the infrastructure. But something that I want to show you just before is that, you know, Terraform is very powerful for that. Let's say that you have a developer that is using the platform, but you just said that you want to control everything from Terraform and start to create a new environment manually, you know, but you don't want them to create those environments manually. You just want to control and keep track of every single change from Terraform. So what will happen here? So if you create a new environment here, for instance, it's what we call a drift, because you have managed. So it's a drift. It's a very common problem that you have with Terraform, is that I've started to manage that one infrastructure from Qovery, from the Terraform. So the project, the cluster, and everything. And now I started manually creating a new environment. What would happen? So basically, it's exactly made on that purpose. So if you do that and you manage everything from Terraform, then you will see that something happened. So someone made a change, you know. And how you can see that is by just doing a plan. So Terraform plan, because you already have declared, you remember? So this configuration here is completely different from the configuration that we have right now. And we'll see that it's the case. So if you do a plan, obviously it doesn't work. I don't know why. Demo effect. But yeah, normally you are supposed to, or maybe I just forget something. I don't know. But you are supposed to see the difference between the configuration between the environment, so the different environments, and the states that you declare into that file. Okay. Terraform must combine. Okay. So I don't know what, but let's say. One thing that I want to show you is something that it's very, 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 very powerful. Wait, let's say, did I get the... Okay. Main TF. Yes, all right. Can you see that? All right, super cool. Okay, so this is the Terraform file. Okay, basically it's the same. It's the same that I opened. So I'm just checking and looking at the details. So yes, it's the same, exactly the same. Oh, just question from Taj. Hey Taj, nice to see you here. Does the Qovery web UI modify the Terraform file in the background? No, not at all, not at all. Something probably that we'll provide at some point, like you made a change, you want to synchronize a potential Terraform file, then you get the Terraform file that is updated. Something that you can do through our API, for instance, so you can just like do it in your way. But we do plan with the new version, the major version that we are working on, the V3, to provide the ability to export all the configuration from the interface into a Terraform file. Then from that, you can use that file directly. Yeah. Yes. So what I wanted to show is basically, so here I've declared my cluster. So you see my project, my environment, my database, my application. Okay, all of them are linked to their associated resources. So if I do want, let's say that I want to clone the environment. So I have the dev environment, but I want exactly the same environment now. I want a brand new environment. So what you can do is just basically you can copy everything. So I can just copy that, and I want get those resources into the same project. So I'm just copying the environment and the database and the application. Okay. So you see also the application. Yes, as I told you here, you have no details. It's very easy. You can just declare like the resources. So what you want. So the repository, the branch, the root application path, the middle mods. So you can use your Docker file or using Bitpacks like on HeroQ and all those things. So the port yes, it's very, very, very similar to the web interface and very convenient to use. So if I want to create a new environment, let's say it's a dev2 environment now, okay, I rename that so into dev2. So I'm going to just remove that. So this is the idea of the resource, okay, not the name of the environment, but here I've changed the name, okay. And if I want to have the application associated to that, I need also, obviously, so to declare the dev2. So just associating all the resources to that, and then we are going to be good. Here, I need to say dev2 and dev2, and probably there is something also that is missing. I think the PSQL dev2, maybe I need to change that name as well. So PSQL dev2, backend dev2. I'm not even sure, but just in case of, I think yes. And PSQL dev2. So yes, you can say that you depend on, you don't want to deploy, for instance, the applications before the database, okay? So you can declare the dependencies between each services running in the same environment, and then Terraform take care of everything here. All right, so I think I'm good to just look at that. So if I go back to Terraform, let me share the other thing. All right. All right. I wanted to show it graphically, so I'm just going to confirm that it's good. It's not maybe good. I have to save it before. Okay, yes, it's good. Dev2. So you see, I have everything. So now, if I run Terraform plan from that, oh yes, Terraform C. So we see the difference between what we have right now from Qovery and what we want, what we do want. And you see, we have only created new resources, only new resources. We do not want to remove anything, but if we remove something from the file, then it will disappear just from Qovery, from the infrastructure. And you see, so if I do now Terraform apply, yes, of course. So what will happen? So finger crossed, because I didn't try that before. So what will happen is that I can go back to the web interface. So now everything is going to be created, and we'll see that it's happening in real time, right? So it means that it even works with the cluster, anything, any resources. So you see the level of abstraction that you get. Let's say that you have environment, you have clusters everywhere, like in Hong Kong, in New York, in Paris, in London, and you do want to just like manage everything from one single place. It's like just very simple. Wait, okay. So if I refresh that, all right, you see, I have my new environment that is created and in deployment, and I can even see the deployment logs, right? Oh, question I have. So hey, I don't see your name. Sorry, LinkedIn user. It's not very like pleasant, but sorry. So the question is like, does database name need to be unique? No. You don't need to bother about that, because every single database, so in my case, they were running into different environments. But from the same environment, if you have two resources, you need to have unique resources with unique name from the same environment. But because they are from different environments, you see, so I can show you from different environments, you see dev here is not the same as dev2, then it means that you can get the same name. There is no problem. Oh, my database has been deployed and now it's the application, you see? That's beautiful. I really love that. I like my product. I like our product. It's the team behind that is working. They are the best. I'm just here to just show what they have done. So I can pretend it's my product, but it's not the case. All right. Oh, big message. Oh, big message. Big message. Big ask from just saying replace triggers is a new lifecycle argument which allows replace triggered by is a new lifecycle argument which allows one to configure the replacement of a resource based on change in a dependency. This is coming to Terraform 1.2, and it doesn't mean that user will be able to improve workflow when something is updated. Okay, great to know. It's the professional, it's the Terraform professional. I wish Anton make a demo of Qovery Terraform provider. It would be like just much better than I am. All right. So let's see where it goes from now, and then we're good. But you see, if you do want to duplicate infrastructure and just focusing on the what you want, from the beginning, this idea of Terraform providing a tool that makes you just thinking about the what and not the how, then from that, you're good to go. Yeah. All right. Deployment in progress. So my application has been built. It has been pushed into my container registry. And you see, it's so all the layers has been cached. So everything is configured back. You see from the Terraform file, there is no like, you don't care about all of that. And here now it has been pushed and now in deployment on my cluster, on my Kubernetes cluster, you see? All right, and it's running. Yes, we have to wait just a few moments. check deployment succeeded. Yes, Qovery takes care also not only deploying your application, but checking that everything is going well. Everything, your application is really up and running and not only like just deployed and then you're fucked up. So yes, I have my application running. Great. Logs. Okay. Then open. Perfect. It's my new application. Let's say now, so I just want to get to the, so let me do something. So let's say now that you want just to, okay. So I'm going to do something that you should never do. Okay. It's doing that. Let's say now, you see everything from that file. So everything from that file, everything. So I put not the token, obviously, or otherwise it will not work. But you see, I've removed everything. I just don't want anything on my infrastructure, or I just want to destroy it. So there is two ways of doing that. You can use this way, so which is not great, or you can do the Terraform destroy. Terraform destroy will do exactly the same. Okay, so I'm going to show you with the Terraform destroy because it's exactly the same, and it's the good practice. Then you don't have to delete everything from your file. But let's share that again. All right. It's good, but now I'm over. I'm done. It's the end of the day, and I just don't want to pay for all those resources because at the end of the day, you pay the bill. So I don't want to, and I'm paying the bill. I'm the CEO. So let's drop everything now. Let's destroy everything. And that's exactly what is happening right now. It's the end. You should never use that command, okay? It's like very, very dangerous. And let's jump into that. And you see, oh, I have error because the resources are no longer existing. Oh, deleted, delete queue, everything deleted. Oh, yes, it's over. It's the end. You see, all the resources are deleted. All. And everything is going to be dropped. Even the cluster, even the credentials, everything. That's it. It's the end of the day. I'm done. All right. So let's share back again the screen. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed the demo. So just to conclude and give you the things that we shared. So Terraform is a very great tool that you have to use. All our customers at some point use it, even if they are not at the beginning, our users. So we encourage them to use it as much as possible just to make sure that they get a reproducible infrastructure and they can control everything that they need. Because we have just show that you can manage Qovery, but when you are like doing, you are building a real infrastructure, you have also managing different services like SQS, Lambda, Kafka, whatever you want from different cloud provider, like Cloudflare. And then you want from one single file or one file, so the Terraform file, control everything. And then from that, you can just like reproduce a complete environment, okay, even with Qovery. And that's very powerful because in the case of Qovery, we have customers that are coming from healthcare, fintech, insurtech companies that are managing different kind of architectures, and sometimes they need to isolate their environment. So obviously production, staging, development, but also across their different customers. And what they can do with that is that from one single file, I was just talking just before with a customer that is onboarding a very big brand on their infrastructure, and they request to get their own dedicated environment, like infrastructure, so single tenant application. And what he can do right now is just duplicating the configuration file that he has for this customer, and then from one single interface, just serve that customer. So that's super powerful. So yes, you can do so crazy stuff. All right, I'm good at that. So thanks for following me, watching me, listening me. I want to thank again my team because I'm the one that is showing what we have done, but I'm not involved into that product development like as much as they are. And I just want to thank all those great people that I'm working with. I'm super proud. We are still hiring. So if you are interested in to join the company, just feel free to ping me. So I have some time for a few questions. So if you have, just feel free to ask. And thanks. All right. So if you do have questions, you have my email. You can add me on LinkedIn or Twitter, and I'm happy to discuss. So have a good day, have a good night, and speak later then. Ciao.